What's going on, guys? All right, today we are talking none other than Josh Gordon. This guy, oh my gosh, he's probably the guy that I've had the most arguments about for fantasy, and he's one of the most polarizing players when it comes to trying to figure out where the hell to value this guy. Because his range of outcomes is anywhere from the number one overall wide receiver, overall fantasy player, to he may not even play another down in the NFL. Which, if anyone has ever tried to do rankings before, that is just insane. But let's try to talk through and put some logic behind the thought process here. So the Browns are a very interesting team. They have completely revamped their offense. They have brought on Jarvis Landry from the Miami Dolphins, who's a fantastic receiver. Josh Gordon obviously came back for a few games at the end of last year. Browns drafted Baker Mayfield with the first overall pick. They drafted Nick Chubb. They let Isaiah Crowell go. They brought on Carlos Hyde from the 49ers. And then they also picked up Tyrod Taylor in the free agency. So right now, Hugh Jackson, the coach of the Browns, is stating that Tyrod Taylor is going to be their starter. I don't necessarily trust Hugh Jackson. He's said things before, but at the end of the day, if the Browns start out and they're losing a bunch of games, then they're probably going to have to start Baker Mayfield, or Hugh Jackson is going to lose his job. So I don't know that I would project Tyrod Taylor to play the whole season. That's not to say that I think he's a bad quarterback. I think Tyrod Taylor is actually underrated. I think he's pretty good, but he's not a high volume passer. And all of his years with the Bills, the only time that there's ever actually even a moment of having an extreme stud receiver was a few years ago with Sammy Watkins. There was a small end of the season stretch, I think for about 5 or 6 games, where Sammy Watkins was actually putting up consistent wide receiver 1 numbers. Other than that, every year that Tyrod Taylor has played, none of his receivers have really stood out from a fantasy perspective. Again, doesn't mean Tyrod Taylor's a bad quarterback, but he spreads the ball around, and he's a much more mobile quarterback, so he runs the ball a lot more, meaning he throws the ball a lot less. Again, they brought on Jarvis Landry, who is a target hog. They did just trade away Corey Coleman, but there's still rumors that they may be taking Dez Bryant. Duke Johnson is also a target hog, and it's yet to be seen whether they're going to be using a lot of Carlos Hyde or Nick Chubb. There's a lot of malice to be fed in this offense. If they sign Dez Bryant, I'm just straight up not even considering Josh Gordon anywhere. And right now where I have him ranked, I don't think I'm ever going to get him, because most people are going to be more apt to take him in the 3rd or 4th round, whereas where I have him ranked, I wouldn't even be touching him until about the 5th. So I guess that answers how I feel about Josh Gordon, but it doesn't really get to the core of it, because I recognize he is an extremely talented receiver, and I don't hate him and I don't hate it when people draft him, but with the fact that he hasn't reported to training camp yet, he's still dealing with personal issues. Now, granted, he's actually doing things the best that he can, and it appears that the Browns are giving him space, which is great, because if they don't, he might end up never playing another down in the NFL. But if we don't see some action from him soon, every day that he doesn't show up to training camp is another day that I am just even more apt to just throw him down my list and just forget his name. I wouldn't risk it. You're going for upside in the 4th round, but in the 3rd round, which is typically where I've seen him go, you're still trying to build a solid core for your team. And if Josh Gordon is, if something else happens and he gets suspended again, or even if he plays the entire year, but the offense goes as kind of as I expect, with Hugh Jackson being a pretty crappy coach, I'm not sure how Todd Haley as the offensive coordinator is actually going to be able to fix that for him. I just don't see Josh Gordon getting the volume that he needs to actually receive the upside that a lot of people are projecting him to reach. So honestly, at this point, I'm just fading him, and that's what I'd recommend you do too. If you're curious how I feel about other players in the draft this year, please feel free to click the link in the description box. You can get my PPR tiers for free, and I'll be sending you updates throughout August and into September, making sure that you can crush it in your fantasy drafts. All right, guys, peace.